blessing. When an Igbo person wants to interpret your name, he will call you Ngozi. Meaning there is Ngozi, which is a correlation of blessing in English, right? So in Chinese, if you tell a Chinese man that Yahweh perhaps means the one God that is supreme and almighty, he will therefore give you a name in Chinese language, in Chinese vocabulary, that is a correlation of one God that is supreme and almighty.
Yes, that one you are defining. What you are meaning, you are saying now is definition. You are defining a name. I'm telling you that somebody's name cannot change because another person has a different language outside their own. Let's listen now. Now, your name now can never be changed by Chinese because you are coming from this.
Yes.
Now listen to what you are about to explain. What you are explaining to me. What you are trying to say is that what they call their God, that the meaning, that is what they are thinking about, refers to a particular being, that is God. Then you also failed it because the way they worship that their God is not the way they worship the Yahweh. And now listen, if a God does not receive sacrifice in the same way, it means they are not the same God. No. If a God, wait now, a God set a rule, say follow me through this rule, worship me through this rule, and another person decided to turn the rule upside down, and you come out because you want to have population, you started claiming people who are worshiping those that God in a different way. No, you are making a mistake. Now listen, the truth is that Christians, they don't involve logic. I mean religious people, because I cannot say Christians because we have so many religious people. So now, if you are talking about the Christian God, I will tell you that at some point in my life, I started thinking about the whole world. I started thinking about the Bible. You know, I used to read the Bible very, very well. Okay. So I started thinking about the Bible, the condition of those people that wrote the Bible, what they were thinking about, and lots and lots of things. So until I now said, if there is a God, the one they described in the Bible cannot be the overall God. That is my standpoint. That's where I started disbelieving. Okay. Because I'm coming. Because the one they described in the Bible is so limited. They gave him limited power. They made him. In fact, the Bible made caricature of what should be called God.
How?
Good. Thank you very much. For example, God that is all-knowing, he knows everything. Yes. He sees us where we are, according to the Bible. When it was time to destroy the children of Egypt, he now told the children of Israelites to kill sheep, and touch the blood on their houses, so that God would be able, or the spirits of God would be able to identify the houses of those Israelites. Now, a God that knows everything does not need the blood to identify his children, number one. Number two, when people, some illiterates, in those days we don't have architecture, so we don't have all those things. So some illiterates were building a house, maybe a mud house or something like that. There was no cement then. They were building one kind nonsense house. They said they want to reach where God lives. So, and that is the Tower of Babel. So, and God became afraid and thought maybe, listen now. Then he said, okay, if I allow these people, they will now come to me. He now struck them with different languages. They now started speaking different languages. A God that is afraid of illiterates who cannot even build something that is up to 3-kilometer road, is that one a God I should be worshiping? A God that I'm more intelligent than? So even in this modern era, how can you say you are building a house to the moon? So the God does not even know that they are doing nothing. Okay. Wait. I'm giving you samples. Number 3, when their languages was changed, remember those men building that Tower of Babel, was the language of the wives at home, was it changed? What of the children at different places? Was it changed? What of other elderly people? Was it changed? So why change the language of people at a particular point in time? Why those people at home, they are still speaking the same language? It means confusion. How can you tell me that such is a God that I should worship? Now tell me, how can you tell me that I worship a God who created heaven with many mansions, and then came back to earth and created Adam and Eve and put them in a garden without roof. Just ordinary roof, no roof at all. And now, he now said, don't eat from, he pointed at a tree, and he said this tree is a tree of knowledge. Don't eat from it. He doesn't want them to know anything. So now, since he doesn't want them to know anything, he now came back and started giving them instruction. Don't eat this, don't eat that. Those are people who don't know anything, no? And you don't want them to know. You started dishing out instruction they should obey. How can somebody who doesn't know anything understand when he is doing the wrong thing and obey your instruction? Now, and after telling them not to eat this and eat that and do this, finally they ate the fruit and they discovered they were naked. So now, those people, it means they didn't even know they were naked. It means they were so stupid. It means you created an ignorant people. And now started giving them instruction. After allowing a serpent you created to meet them, instead of building a house for them, what you threw into that place was a bad Satan that will destroy them. So now, such a God should not be considered as my God. A God who also in Africa, when anytime there is problem, Egypt will save Israelites. They saved Jesus when they were about to kill him. Egypt saved Joseph and also saved the children of Jacob. But when it was time for miracle, they were performing miracle in Israel, up and down, and the Egyptians were suffering. Later, they now the only quote they gave Egyptians are, the Egyptians you see today, you will see them no more. So, and they were referring to Africans. Now, how can I worship a God that doesn't understand that everybody on earth belongs to him? A God that does not understand the difference between slave and a master. He said that a slave should obey the master, thereby supporting slavery. So, that is the limitation they gave. I just don't want to continue because there are so many limitations they gave God. Even at a point, God told the Israelites to always cover their physics anytime after going to toilet, to avoid him stepping on it.
To avoid God stepping on it.
Stepping on it! You don't read the Bible. I'm a pastor by profession and ordination, and I know what I'm talking about with biblical quotations.
Well,
okay, how can God create angels that will come into this world in Genesis chapter 6 verse 2, impregnate daughters of men, angels? So a lot of things. So such God is a limited God.
Beautiful.
Go ahead.
I love your argument.
Go ahead.
Right.
Ask me any other question.
The things of God and the events in the Bible are not actually why we are here today.
Okay.
But good thing you've been able to x-ray some of the points. I can see these are some of the premises that you drew your conclusion from to take a position of being a theist.
Yes.
Okay. I want to ask you just one question. Do you believe in creation?
Yeah, let me tell you one thing about believing in creation. Because if I ask you now, you will say you believe in creation, that God created humans. He created everything, that God designed the world. How can the world be like this without having a designer? Then you forgot that you also believe that God has no designer. You see where the people from
How is God not having a design? Is God himself is the master designer?
Okay, who designed God? Answer, sir. Can you tell us who designed God? Nobody.
Excuse me. You can't ask who designed God.
Okay.
God is the in fact, the perfect being.
But I have asked you, can you answer me?
It's like asking who born God, who created God.
Good.
That's
what I'm asking.
That question will be so nonsensical to even
no,
logic.
Forget about how stupid it sounds.
When we talk about God, we are talking about a creator that was never created.
Thank you. That's what I want to hear. Nobody created him. That is it. Wait, now pause it there. I've agreed with you.
Yes.
Nobody created him. Then you want to crucify me because I said nobody created earth. We are the same. You said nobody created God. I said nobody created earth.
Okay,
but
now,
can
I bring the logic home?
Okay, yeah, go
now,
ahead.
take for example, you wake up one day and you discover that the person you call your mother and your father are actually not your father and your mother.
Yes.
What will you do?
I will live my life, enjoy my life. That's all.
Beautiful.
Any day I see them, if they call themselves my father, my mother, what I can do is maybe I will decide to go for DNA test, and that's all.
But can you make a claim that you have no mother or father because you don't know your father and your mother?
When you don't know your mother
and your father,
and your father,
can you make a claim that
That-
you don't have father and mother, or
No.
you came from no father, no
no,
mother?
you will know because you saw other people giving birth.
Beautiful.
Have you ever seen a God creating anybody? Have you ever seen God creating anybody? That's the question, because I've seen people giving birth. I've seen a woman giving birth. Have you ever seen God creating?
God said to us.
Forget
in
about
book
what
of
he
Genesis,
said to you, because he did not tell
in
you
book of
anything.
Genesis, he said, "Go ye into the world and multiply."
Who wrote Genesis? Who wrote that Genesis?
Bible generally is inspired by the Spirit of God.
Oh, good. Are you the one that was inspired? I want to know the person who wrote Genesis.
Moses
What?
wrote book of Genesis.
Good. And Moses wrote the final book, which is Deuteronomy. The last book of Old Testament is Deuteronomy. It was written by Moses. Do you know that the same Moses you are telling me he wrote Genesis also wrote what happened to his corpse? He wrote how he kept his eyes when he died. How can a writer please write what is happening to his own corpse? How can you tell me to believe this type of thing? How can I be so stupid to that level?
Now, can I?
Okay, go ahead.
Go
ahead.
Okay, it's beautiful.
It's just unfortunate that people believe such cooked up stories.
Okay, now it's beautiful. There's no problem.
Go
I've
ahead.
seen many atheists like you.
No, I'm
know,
not atheist by
know.
choice, but by logic. If I
By
want you
logic,
to,
and to
yes.
serve God, you don't serve God with logic.
No, I don't have to be stupid to that extent. What
No.
you should be telling me now is, what if I want you to convince me? Show me the reasons I should follow God.
Okay, beautiful.
Now, if you show me a good reason,
Yes.
or you are able to convince me, for example, if I ask you now, like, I'm an atheist and you're a Christian, if I now